Hi there guys, I'm Himesh, welcome back to the channel, and as you can see the private plate is gone, the original number plate is back on the car, and after 21,830 happy miles in my Audi A4, it's going tomorrow. That can only mean one thing: new car day. So before the new car comes and I do my reveal, as YouTube obviously dictates, I need to do a final drive video on the car. So let's get into it. So because there's a couple of topics I want to talk about, I'm going to split up into sections. So I want to talk about the economy, the comfort, just generally just how the car, I found it, and just a few other bits. So let's start with the economy. Now the economy of this car is the 2-litre diesel Ultra, so naturally company car spec. So it only emits like 99 grams of CO2, which is pretty good. But what's even better is the fuel economy. Now, I'm 32 now, so I get excited about fuel economy, which is sad as it sounds. I mean, it's costing me, what, £1.52 a litre right now? So it's getting a little bit expensive. Now, the car only has a 40-litre fuel tank, which sounds pretty small, and it is, obviously in comparison to obviously the 52s, the 60-litre tanks, or the other cars that you get. But from that tank, I live in Bedford, and we've driven to Scotland on a tank, and we've got 72.8 miles per gallon. Now the maximum amount this car I've actually got is 80 miles per gallon, which, let's be honest, the book says 80, I think 82, and actually matching an MPG that you actually find in a book is unheard of. But yes, I was driving extremely cautiously, and driving, well, as the book says, but driving as you would on the motorway, just on a pure motorway run, getting 72 miles per gallon, I think is pretty good. So you're looking at around about 450 to 500 miles off a 40-litre tank, which again, I think is quite impressive. So one of the things that makes that happen is the intelligent coasting, and again, that's available on loads of cars, but it's, there you go, it's a Tesla Model 3, there's the future going past me in a car. But yeah, the intelligent coasting, I leave it on all the time. And again, like I mentioned, economy excites me nowadays. Getting into midlife crisis, if you want to call it that. I always leave the car in the most economic setting. I don't need to get to places as quick. And let's be honest, an A4 diesel isn't designed to get you to places quick. If you want to do that, then get the S4, get the RS4. The A4 TDI Ultra is not meant to get you to places fast. It's meant to get you to places comfortably and with spending at least amount of fuel as possible. Now that car does all of these things and more. So driving around town, yeah, you're going to get around about 40, 45, which it's not great, it's not bad either, but on a motorway run you're going to get 72. I've never seen economy that high in a car before, and I thought it's a mid-sized car. I would call this a mid-sized car. I didn't think I was going to get that level of economy, but I can't complain at all. So the next part I want to talk about the car is the comfort. And again, I just mentioned before, this car is designed to get you from A to B in comfort, and it does that. So on this sport spec car, it's got heated leather seats, and they're really comfortable. Now, I used to drive a lot for work, literally getting to work, and I can tell you, do not get tired driving this car. So, and as I mentioned before, we've driven up to Scotland, we've driven to the Cotswolds, we've driven to loads of places in this car. Obviously, we've covered 21,000 in like a year and a half. So, driven a fair amount in this car. You do not feel tired when you reach your destination in this car. So that's one thing I definitely will miss. Now, another thing that I like about the car is the gear selector. So I've always liked the S-tronic gear selector because it reminds me of the thrusters controller on a plane. Now, I don't know, that's just me, a bit weird sometimes, but it just reminds me of that, and it's comfortable to hold. And it's a lot better than the tiny little switch that you get on the new modern Audis. It just doesn't have the same feel. Another thing Mrs. told me to put in this video was that the heated seats heat up really quick in this car, so within a couple of minutes you're nice and toasty. Now she's got a 4 Series, and she said that she much prefers the heated seats in this car, so that's another positive on the comfort side of the car. So another thing I found interesting is the steering wheel in this car obviously is a VW steering wheel, but it's the same one that goes into the Bentley, and my friend's got a Cayenne. It's the same steering wheel that was gone into his Cayenne. I saw it when I was driving in his car, and I was like, mate, what the hell? That's the same wheel as I've got in my car. Now obviously this is an A4, but if you've got a Porsche or a Bentley, you feel a bit pissed off. So my previous car history has always been Vauxhall. Now the only cars I've ever owned with my name on the logbook are Astras. I was brought up in Dunstable, which is right next to Luton. My dad worked for Vauxhall his whole life, so that would explain that. Now again, this car is a company car, so it's not technically mine. Yes, my name may have been on the number plate, but it's never been my car. I've never professed to own this car. It's always been, this is my company car. But even owning cars, I've always had Android Auto in the car. So my previous company car was a VW T-Roc. Again, that was brand new at the time, and that had it. Now this, being a 2017 car, has Android Auto as standard, but my god, is it glitchy. Now I think that's probably just because it's an older system now, so it's only going to be 4 years old, so it's not actually that old in the grand scheme of things, but it's so annoying sometimes. Like, I'm using a genuine cable obviously to connect it, but sometimes it just gives up. It just doesn't want to work. It just does not work at all. So it charges my phone, so it'll give enough power, but if you actually want to use it, it's like, nah, I just don't want to work. It's like, I need you to work. I need to navigate with Google Maps, because obviously the built-in sat-nav on any car is pretty crap. So yeah, that's one of the most annoying things. So another thing that I wasn't too overly pleased with is the speakers in the car. Now, I wouldn't be too disappointed if this was the standard Audi system, and don't get me wrong, it's not the Bose system, and I know that, of course, but in the brochure they make a point to say this is the Audi sound system. Now, you only put your name on a product if you're that proud of the product, right? This is not great. I mean, like, let's be honest, there's the fuel light. So let's be honest, the standard sound system in a BMW is like so much better, and I can vouch for that personally. So look, let's be honest, look at me. You know the music I like. It needs to have that bass. It needs to hit all of the notes, and this system does not do that. So I'll play you a track just now quickly on max volume as well, and you can understand that the volume does not go high enough. Like, you can have a conversation in this car. That's how the speakers just don't hit right. You can have a conversation on max volume and yeah, it just doesn't work that great.
Going out the shit again, that's just how I live. Lord, just again again, on my own island. Going out the shit again, Lord, just again again. Going out the shit again, Lord, just again again. Going out the shit again.
So whoever knows that song knows that that song has a great bass line, but just not in this car. It doesn't. No, it does not. So the only things that actually have gone wrong in this car since I've had it for, like I mentioned, like year and 7 months, year and 8 months that I've had it, the only one thing that's gone wrong is the pre-sense camera. That failed. So I thought maybe it was just dirty because it hadn't been washed over the winter. So washed the windscreen, well, got the car washed obviously, and then it still came up, so I thought, okay, so obviously phone in touch, it's a company car, let me sort it out. Now, the camera cost £1,200 to get fixed, and obviously it has to get done by Audi because it's a company vehicle. £1,200. If I had this car, I would have cried, because I don't actually use the pre-sense, and it's just there just to make the beeping stop. As in, like, you had to get it replaced to stop the beeping. But my God, if you had to spend £1,200 of your own money on a camera that you don't even use, you'd be crying. So it was literally just out of the 3-year warranty period, and it had to be paid for. And I was crying internally, because I was like, ouch, that was my car. I would have not been happy. Now, whilst the car went, I actually had a fully loaded brand new Volvo V60, and I loved it. I didn't actually want this car back, but obviously it was a hire car, so I couldn't keep it. Begrudgingly, I didn't have all my camera equipment at the time, so I couldn't have filmed a video, because I had that for a week, and that Volvo was just in another level of, it was just another level of car in comparison to this A4. So if anybody's got a fully loaded V60 inscription, get at me. I would happily take that back for some time. So as I mentioned, it's a company car. Now, when I got the vehicle, I was pleasantly surprised, because we know company cars are generally the lower spec models. So when I got the Sport, in the brochure it didn't say that it would have leather seats. It didn't say it would have heated leather seats. So that was a pleasant surprise, because usually we are not allowed to have any optional extras in the vehicle. But one of the things that does make me laugh is it's got Hitachi branded mats. It's got a sticker on the windscreen to remind me to check the wheel torque after 200 miles. Random. But obviously you would expect to have Hitachi on the number plates, which it does have. But another nice thing was a Hitachi branded pen and notebook, which I have not used as yet, but I still plan to use it. So yeah, standard company car spec, pleasantly surprised. So the rear seat room in the car is not that great. Now, I'm 6'2", I'm sitting comfortably, obviously, it's a comfortable car, so I'm sitting comfortably. Here is a clip of the rear seat room. Now, it's not great, but that's pretty much standard across this size of vehicle, which I don't understand, because my dad has an Astra, and that has a hell of a lot more rear seat room than in this car. It's a bigger car, but with not that much space behind me. Now, I could not sit comfortably behind myself. I guess that's how I judge the comfort of a car. That's the only way I can, right? On the flip side, the boot space is pretty good. So recently went away on holiday, managed to get all of the luggage in the boot, so here's a clip of the boot. So it's pretty big, will swallow up pretty much whatever you want it to. Obviously fold the seats flat down. I've done many a trip to the tip of this car, and it's obviously done that effortlessly. So as I mentioned, I like fuel economy. Now, and again, as I mentioned, I always drive in the most economical setting. But one thing that I've never understood why it doesn't do this is it remembers the efficiency drive select mode. But when you put it into drive, when you turn it on, it obviously turns into drive. But when you select the efficiency mode through the drive select, if you're driving, it goes on to the efficient mode on the gearbox. Now, being in the efficiency setting, why doesn't it remember the efficiency setting in the gearbox? That's one thing I've never understood, and I don't think I will ever understand, obviously, in the day that I've got left with the car. But it is what it is. But obviously when you put it into sport, it will go into sport. When you put it back into drive on the gear selector, it will go back into efficient when you're in the efficiency mode after selecting it while driving. Doesn't make any sense. So this car I will forever remember. Now, I'm a firm believer in you will always remember the car that got you to the most important places that you've been. You will always remember the car that got you to your holiday, your wedding, your mini moon, whatever. And that obviously rings true with this car, because this car has been with us we took it to the Cotswolds for a couple of days away with my friends. We took it up to Scotland for mini moon. We took it to again, because of lockdown, etc., we took it up to Scotland again, down to Wales, down to Snowdonia, and it also took me to my wedding. It wasn't my wedding car, obviously, but it took me to my parents' house for the wedding. So again, I'm a firm believer in, you'll always remember the car that took you to those important journeys. You won't remember the journey always, but you'll always remember the car. Now that again rings true for, like, for example, I absolutely hated the VW T-Roc that I had. It just was not me. It was so slow. It was less practical than a Golf, I would say, and I just hated it. But I will always remember that car, because that was the car that I drove to Scotland. Obviously, it sounds like I love Scotland, and I do love Scotland. But yeah, it was the car that I drove up to Scotland where I proposed to my now wife. So I always remember these things, and the car that took you to these destinations. And Sirius Black, as I've named the car for obvious reasons, will be one of them cars that I will always remember, because of the good memories associated to this car. I will genuinely miss this car. Now, whilst this car doesn't have any extended ambient light package, it does have ambient lighting, which obviously we know now is an optional extra on absolutely everything right now. But it has light up on the air vents, it's got some on the transmission tunnel, it's also got some on the outside door handles, which I quite like, obviously at night. And it also, one of the things I think is quite clever is the fact that at night, when you open the car, all of the lights will turn on in the car, but it's only the door that you open, that's the light that will stay on. So again, here's a clip. So now, one thing that always has made me laugh every time I start this car is this beep. Now, for those of you who like, I guess, similar kind of music like I do, you probably understand where I'm going with this. It reminds me every time of that Young MA song, Big. Now, for the rest of this section, I'm going to have a big head. For no other reason, just because it reminds me of that. But does that not, anyone else with this same car or any other Audi that does that noise, does it not remind you of that every single time? Now, don't get me wrong, it's a tune, but I don't need to hear that every time I start the car. So if you end up buying this car, BL67RWE, drop me a comment down below and let me know how you're getting on with the car. If not, everybody remember to hit the subscribe button, and obviously if you like the video, hit like and drop me any comments down below. So yeah, keep tuned for what my new car is, and yeah, I'll see you in another video.